Now, are there contracts that look like they possess all of the three basic criterion, but should not be accounted for as derivatives, with fair value, changes in fair value going through the income statement? So we want to take a look at the literature specifically. And what we want to do is we want to go over to our broad transactions in the Accounting Standards Codification, go to derivatives and hedging, and just look overall. And in here, under paragraph 15, you're going to see scope and scope exceptions. And there are a number of scope and scope exceptions. I'm going to scroll down to that. And this is the listing of instruments not within scope. There's been some changes, so we've added a couple of other things, or at least one other thing, certain fixed odds wagering contracts that also go in here. The things I want to talk about today are regular way securities, normal purchases and sales, some insurance contracts, and some financial guarantee contracts. So those are some of the things that I want to just chat with, these top four. Anytime you are making a decision, you want to look and see whether or not any of these items, any of the contracts you're looking at, get exception treatment. So let's go back to this. So the first one we want to talk about is a financial guarantee. And some of you may be familiar with this if you had somebody co-sign a loan or basically be a signer on a lease. They're offering a financial guarantee, right? And that's the financial guarantee we're talking about, is when you or somebody else says, if this person doesn't do what they're supposed to do, I will come in and I will make sure it happens. So let's take a look at what is step one. Step one is, what's the underlying of this financial guarantee? And notional amount, or payment provision. In the description of the financial guarantee, as I pointed out, if somebody doesn't do what they're supposed to do, then somebody else has to come in and pay. So for this particular item, this particular contract, there's a payment provision in the financial guarantee. Well, what's the underlying? What makes this guarantee worth more to the person who holds the guarantee? Well, what's the underlying? The underlying is what makes it go up and down. In this case, the underlying is defined as the probability of default. Given the probability of default, there is the potential for a payment provision. So we meet criterion number one, that this would be considered a derivative. Criterion two, little or no initial investment. The person who's getting the guarantee, who's receiving the guarantee, maybe the lessor or the bank for a co-signing of the loan, did they ask the person giving the guarantee, did they pay the person giving the guarantee any money? Generally, no. So we know that there is $0 usually forked over with one of these types of financial guarantees that are given. And the last thing is settle in cash. And invariably, all of these guarantees is a cash payment. So this financial guarantee clearly looks like a derivative, but it gets exception treatment. Now, it wouldn't get exception treatment if the underlying was something, say, a change in the S&P 500, right? Then it would not be clearly and closely related to a financial guarantee. It would also not be it would not get exception treatment if the probability of default, if it drops, say if they set this and changes in S&P 500 is one thing. If they change this to the credit rating, I'll put it down here. The credit rating drops to BBB. Because you get the exception treatment if and only if this guarantee is only covering actual losses incurred. If the credit rating drops to BBB or there's a change in the S&P 500, it's still possible that the original person who owed the money that was subject to the financial guarantee could pay them back 100% and they get this additional payment provision. If there's any chance that the person who is receiving the financial guarantee will get paid more than their actual losses incurred on the financial guarantee, then it does not get exception treatment. So you have to look at these contracts very carefully to see whether or not it qualifies as a derivative.